Hello.
Hello, Venerable. Good morning.
Good morning. Everyone has arrived. Not everyone yet, but people slowly coming. We had some maintenance happening in the Gompa. They just finished. Everything just on time here. When was that? Yesterday or the day before yesterday? No internet, just on time. The internet is there.
So efficient.
All right, maybe we just start with settling the mind. Give ourselves a few minutes to do that. And by having this done already 8 days, I'm going to assume that you have found a way to do that. So you make sure that you sit comfortable. In a chair, on a cushion. And you watch all your thoughts calming down. As if all these thoughts, like a big rain, all these drops falling to the ground. You stop entertaining them, you stop following them, you stop suppressing them. They are just there and we don't give them any attention. Instead, we focus our attention on the body. We focus our attention on the here and now, on the present moment. And we allow the mind to settle. And then you set a good motivation for being here today, for doing this session. And even just setting the motivation, I'm doing this session because I like to learn how to live my life to the fullest is already a positive motivation, right? So if words are not coming, just that is already good enough. But just try to feel it from your heart, that it is a little bit more than only words. I really want that. And then relax your attention. And then I like to start with coming back to a question from yesterday. Not sure who it was from. I think
Isidora.
Yeah, she hasn't arrived yet, right?
Not yet. No.
Okay, so maybe we wait till she's here and then and hope that she's coming today. And otherwise we can do it at the end. Just remind me if I forget. Yes. So last day of 9 in this course, last official day. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Pema. You asked me to say something, please.
No problem. No problem, Venerable. Yeah. Right. I'll just take 2 minutes. Thank you,
No
Venerable.
problem. No problem.
Yeah. Thank you. Hello, everyone. I just want to take 2 minutes to actually thank Venerable Jamyang for sharing the wisdom for all this, particularly this course as well as many past courses. So Venerable Jamyang, thank you so much on behalf of Tushita's staff, as well as we have about 14-15 regular students for this course. So thank you. We are so grateful for your teachings. And also I want to thank each one of you, you participants, for being with us, for your time and effort. So thank you so much. And also all of you have made generous donations, which helps Tushita running. So thank you so much. Thank you. And then we have, so if you felt that this course was beneficial and, useful for you, then, if you would like to make any offerings for Venerable Jamyang, it is most welcome, because Venerable Jamyang has been ordained for many years and teaching, sharing the Dharma for so many years. And this is like, she lives on the generous donation of students like you. So offerings are most welcome for Venerable Jamyang to express your appreciation for her work. So in order to do that, when you register for this course, you receive the email. In that you have the donation links. So please use the same link to make offerings. For Venerable Jamyang. So when you make the offerings, please, there is a comment section, so you can make it clear that, it is for Venerable Jamyang, so that we won't, miss out. That is one thing. And then after finishing Venerable Jamyang's course on Saturday, we start with our open course. It's on donation basis with Geshe Hagdorla. I'll put the link here on the chat in a bit. So it starts on Saturday, 5:30 in the evening to 7 p.m. So all of you are most welcome to join if you happen to have the time and conditions. Yeah, all right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Venerable.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'll just continue where I left off. So in the last 3 days, we have been talking about developing good qualities as a way to live life to the fullest. We all have Buddha potential. We all have a limitless potential for good qualities. And so if we want to live life to the fullest, then developing these qualities is part of that. And so the first day we spoke about how to transform the mind by transforming our perspective, how we look at things, by, for instance, changing our attitude from not liking suffering to accepting suffering, and eventually, by seeing the benefits of suffering, that we can welcome suffering experiences, unpleasant experiences. And the last 2 days we spoke about the 6 perfections, developing the 6 perfections, but then we can do that on our level. You know, even just thinking about, I want to practice generosity, I want to practice patience, I want to practice ethics. You can do that where you are at, right? You can start where you are with these qualities, developing these qualities. And you know, even if it was difficult, because I think yesterday was a little bit difficult to listen, and to sometimes you get totally overwhelmed and you think, oh my gosh, so many things that I need to clean up, I need to address, I need to develop, I need to, where do I start? How do I going to do all this? This is too much, you know. Don't take it as something that needs to be done right now, or this week, or even this lifetime. Take it as an inspiration that this is a possibility of the human mind, of the mind, right? We have all the possibility of developing these qualities. It's not that we have to do it, but it can inspire us, you know, because many times we have the feeling, no, I can't do that. You know, oh no, that's too difficult. Oh no. And so then by reflecting on the fact that that is a possibility, you can find some inspiration to overcome your little hurdles that you find on your way. All right. Also, it can help to create even more respect for those who have developed these qualities. Yeah, because sometimes we see, we are very lucky that we sometimes see human beings who have qualities like patience, like generosity, like wisdom. You know, we look at our teachers and we see our teachers putting up with very irritable people, right? And they don't react. They stay loving, they stay kind, they repeat whatever it needs to be repeated again and again and again. Every time with joyous effort, never giving up. You know, this, if you go through the Lamrim and you read about what is needed to develop these qualities and you get already overwhelmed with that, then you can imagine these teachers have gone through that process. And so they have these qualities in their mind, but they're coming from causes and conditions. They're not coming from nothing. They were not there from the beginning. Wow, amazing. What kind of training they must have gone through in order to now, you know, have these qualities abiding in their mind. So we can use it like that. I have a little sun shining coming in. I tried to move away 10 minutes ago before the teachings, but just now going right to my face. So I'm sorry about that. I might make another change if this becomes too much. So today we're going to talk about bodhicitta, because when we develop these qualities, you know, even when we try to do good actions, when we try to develop qualities, we normally do that in relationship to one person. For instance, I want to learn to be more generous, or there is someone who needs some money, I'm going to give some money to that person, one person. So when I create one action towards one person, the merit that I gather by doing that one action is only the merit that is so big that it is only related to that one person. If I want to create a lot of merit, which we need in order to develop good qualities, then if I would do that same action for all sentient beings, you know, that action would have the merit of the merit that we created times all sentient beings. right? So then we can create with each simple action limitless merit, because they are limitless sentient beings, right? So if we can generate a mind that sincerely wishes to do that action that we now do towards one person, we sincerely wish to be able to do this towards each and every sentient being. And we would be able to do that if each and every sentient being were to be in front of us. Then the merit that we gain with that one action is huge, you know. And so when we have a lot of merit is what is going to help to remove obstacles on the path. When you're a problem when you're a person that encounters problem after problem after problem, you might have a lack of merit. So then doing this bodhicitta practice, practicing to be willing to do good actions towards each and every sentient being, you will see that after some time your obstacles will start to resolve. You know, they start to dissolve, they just don't occur anymore. Merit also helps to give us speed. You know, instead of a very old, slow car, we suddenly sit in a Ferrari that can go very fast. So then whatever we want to achieve goes much easier. We get it much quicker. Right? I'm just trying to show you the benefits of what we're going to do today. So the bodhicitta mind is the mind that wishes to attain a state of full enlightenment in order to be of benefit for sentient beings. If we say that in our normal language, we could say it is a mind that says, I want to become the best version of myself, and then give that to others. That mind that wants to do that is based on compassion. It is based on a wish to free others from suffering. Compassion, when that arises in the mind, we reach out. We feel for others. We feel connected to others. We want to do something. We want to do something in order to alleviate suffering. We want to do something in order to make the life of others better. Right? We all have this feeling, right? We all have compassion. We all have the seed for compassion. And according to His Holiness the Dalai Lama, that seed got nourished by our mother taking care of us. You know, the mother who, and I know that not all mothers are like this, but there are mothers like this. And we need, when we talk about this, we think about mothers who have a natural capacity to forget about themselves and are fully there to cherish their child, to take care of the child, to see what they can do for the child. Totally selfless. No thought about their own benefit. Right? That compassion, that willingness, by our mother doing this, that seed of compassion has been nourished in our heart. So when we see someone in danger, when we see someone suffering, when we see that someone is in pain, we reach out. Hey, what's going on with you? Hey, can I help you? Shall I sit with you? Shall I listen to you? What do you need? Right? We all do that. That is the beginning where we start this practice. For us, that compassion only arises for the people that we are close to, the people that we like, you know, our family, our friends. And then it can also be connected with when we see very strong suffering, even if it is on a distance. You know, when we see on the television that mothers are losing their children, or, you know, they cannot find food for their children or something like that, we feel for them. We think, oh my gosh, you know, so much suffering. We want them to be free of that. But then there are also many instances where we do not feel compassion, even if we see people suffer, right? Often we feel like, oh, we don't care, you know, it's the other side of the world. We don't care. It's not going to hurt us when they are, I don't even want to think about it. Or so that we do with strangers, like it's not in our field to even think about them. So there is no compassion for them. And then there are people who are in our life that we don't have such a nice relationship with. Maybe they have hurt us in the past. Maybe they treat us badly. Maybe they are rude. Maybe, you know, they have done something very mean. They have stabbed us in the back. Then we feel very hurt. And then our wish for them to be free of suffering disappears from our mind, right? And often that gets replaced by a wish for them to suffer, right? For us, it is very difficult to feel a sincere wish for those who have hurt us to be free of suffering. It's not a problem. It's only a problem if you deny and say, no, I don't have that. You know, we all have that. When you can see that, you can do something about it. You know, when you can see that and you can see that actually that is not making you happy, having that tight heart, you know, having that revenge in your mind, it's not a happy state of mind. We can do something about that. But you first need to diagnose, oh, yes, I'm also doing that. You know, that's just how we function, no problem. But then we can do something about that. So the mind of the Buddha, someone who has developed that compassionate mind fully, they have a mind that is equal to everyone, to all sentient beings, whether they are close or distant, whether they like them or not like them, whether they have benefited the person or whether they have harmed the person, whether they are treating others very badly, whether they are the ones who get treated badly. Someone who's fully awakened sees every sentient being as totally equal in being worth of their compassion. They don't say you are more worthy for my compassion than you. You know, everyone deserves in the same way the compassion of the Buddha. So what prevents us from developing such a mind? Right, we need to first look at that, is that first of all, we have this self-cherishing mind, the mind that feels just because we are in this body, I feel that I am more important than you are. I am more important than everyone else. Therefore, my happiness is more important than your happiness. And my suffering is more important than your suffering. If we're going to talk about suffering, we're going to talk about my suffering, right? And your suffering, maybe I give you 1 minute. I'm just playing, right? I'm just showing you something. I'm so that we know what we are talking about. If we are in a party and there are people who want to talk about their suffering, and then you want to share something about your suffering, and within 10 seconds, they interrupt you and bring the topic back to them, right? We all know these people, but we all have that same tendency. Yeah, if we have people around who are listening to us, we are doing exactly the same. And so by having this feeling of self-importance, which we do not beat ourselves up for, right? This is just a result of how our mind functions. This is not something to take a stick and then say you are a bad person, because we would just increase the problem. But independence on that self-cherishing mind, also everyone that I love, everyone that I like, their happiness is more important than the happiness of the people that I don't like. Their suffering is more important to me than the suffering of those that I don't know or that I don't like. Right? This is how we function, and you can see it. Our world contains the people that we are connected to due to family, and then we have friends. And then there is another layer, and to that other layer, we have a very different attitude. The warmth, the warmth becomes less and less and less, right? And it's already almost finished when we are at the level of the people that we don't know from daily interactions. Maybe even the person that we meet in the shop, or the person that we meet every day when we go for a walk on the street. So we know them from seeing, but we don't know much about them. They are already receiving less of our compassion than the ones who are in the inner circle, right? Can you see that? Am I shocking you with what I'm saying? I'm sure you know this, right? This is just how the mind works. And so then there are also people who do not deserve our compassion at all, that we exclude from our heart. That we say, listen, you can only have this when you're kind to me. If you're going to be rude to me, I'm going to close my heart for you. When you're rude to me, I'm also going to wish you that you're going to experience the same thing. When you take things away from me, I want you also to have no things. If you try to, whatever, you know, there is immediately the thought, I will do the same to you, or I wish you something similar. So that is what stops us from developing the compassion that is there for all sentient beings. So the self-cherishing mind that feels that we are more important, I am more important, is based on the self-grasping. And so we have seen that independence on the self-grasping mind, on the appearance of the self, the other arises. And the stronger we hold on to the self, the more we separate self from others. And when there is a separation between me and others, we focus, the mind automatically focuses on the differences. You know, when we are in the family, even when there are differences, we are focused on the fact that we are family. And so therefore, you know, sometimes we can fight about the differences, but that's never going to be a big issue because we're family. But when I'm going to get out of that family and I do not have a, and I'm relating to people due to, you know, where there is not such a strong bond as like we all belong together, where I just have relationships one-to-one, then the stronger I hold on to the other, to myself, the stronger the other person will appear as somebody different that has almost nothing to do with me. You know, oh yeah, I like them. Yes, I like to spend time with them. But when they're really in trouble, I do not feel it is my responsibility to take care of them. So when we develop compassion for all sentient beings, we need to address that self-centered mind. And so then instead of focusing on the differences between me and others, one way of doing that is focusing on the similarities that we have. And the one similarity that is always mentioned in Buddhism is We all want to be happy. We all want to be free of suffering. We are not different in that. Right? That is what we share, not just with all human beings, we share that with all sentient beings. Same wish, exactly the same wish. And just as we, whatever we are doing, is an attempt to find more happiness and freedom from suffering, in exactly the same way, whatever sentient beings are doing is their attempt to find more happiness and to find more freedom from suffering. So we focus on the similarities. Just as I want to be happy and be free of suffering, my family and my friends want to be happy and free of suffering. The ones that I don't know so well, the so-called strangers, they want to be free. They want to be happy and free of suffering. And also those that I do not like want to be happy and free of suffering. So what holds us back, if we look into that self-cherishing mind and the self-grasping mind, what are they obsessed with? And we said that last week. They are obsessed with, that mind is obsessed with the 8 worldly dharmas. That mind is obsessed with the pleasures of the 6 senses, with finding more material things, with hearing nice, pleasant, ego-pleasing sounds, and with personal praise and admiration. And we try to be free. That self-grasping mind, that self-cherishing mind tries to be free from the displeasures, whether that is related to the 6 senses, to not finding material things that you feel that you need, by hearing uninteresting sounds, or by criticism. When we fight for that, then whoever brings us the things that we are attached to, these people become our friends. And whoever brings us the opposite, they become our enemies. Right? If somebody keeps criticizing us and we keep feeling it here, ow, 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 at a certain point we say, oh, enough, I don't want you anymore. And then if the person keeps going, we start not liking them anymore. And if they keep going, at a certain point we start hating them, like, get out of my life. I don't want to hear that, right? Due to my attachment to praise. So on the basis of my 8 worldly dharmas, on the basis of what I am attached to and what I do not like, I make my friends and I make my enemies. True? And the ones who do not really trigger me in any way, they're the strangers. They, I'm never ever get really into a relationship with them because they're not really touching me in where I feel I am, because the self is often, how we see the self is often with how we see that these primary attachments and aversions, what they are connected to. Can you see that? Which means that our relationships, they are self-centered. They are about, are you benefiting me or are you harming me? When you are benefiting me, when you give me what I want or what I feel that I need, I'm going to experience you as my friend. Oh, look what a nice friend I met today. Yeah. But when you're going to give me the opposite, I'm going to see you as an unwanted person in my life. True. It's very important to see our relationships are based on what I like and what I don't like, whether you benefit me or not. So how do we address? So you need to see this really clearly. Then you have to say, okay, what can I do about that? I can see that actually, you know, I'm not doing myself a favor by this kind of mind. It makes my own life more difficult. If we would be friends with everyone, if we somehow would find a method that we could be friends with everyone, wouldn't that be an easier life? You know, like His Holiness, who says, every time when I see someone, I see a friend, an old friend. Whether I know them or don't know them, I just see an old friend. When we see an old friend, the heart opens up, we are happy. So if we could see everyone as a friend, it would benefit us, right? True, but in a different way than the 8 worldly dharmas benefit us. But it would benefit us. We would be happy when we do that. So what can we do? You know, that the 8 worldly dharmas, they are based on the self-grasping mind. So we can apply any antidote to the self-grasping mind, whether we meditate on the non-existence of the inherently existent self, which is like meditating on emptiness, studying about emptiness, learning about the nature of reality. That is helpful. That will weaken the self-grasping mind. We can also think about how the self does exist, that the self, which appears as an independent entity, that in actuality that self is totally dependent upon causes and conditions, upon the mind imputing it. And so by thinking about that dependency, also the self-grasping mind diminishes, the grasping of that diminishes its power. It will become less strong. We can also work on that biased mind, you know, that likes this and I don't like that. And then believing that what I like is truly good stuff and what I don't like is really crappy stuff. You know, I'm right in what I like and what I don't like. That mind that is actually strongly attached to what it likes and has strong aversion to what it doesn't like, that mind is out of touch with reality. And we spoke about that, right? We can like things and we cannot like things. You know, I'm not saying that that is the problem, but then the reaction that comes from the mind, I want to have that, or that is truly a likable thing. And then somebody else doesn't like it, and there is already the subject of a fight. I know this is truly likable. No, I don't agree with you, you know, but I'm right. And so I want to have my right. Then we have a fight. But if I can say, well, I like it, but I can understand that other people don't like it, because that likability is not coming from the object. That likability is coming from my mind, what it is doing to my mind. Then we can let it go. It's not in the object. I like it, but if it's not here, it's also okay. When it is here, I enjoy it. When it's not here, it's no problem. Our self-grasping mind that follows with every time when we experience something pleasurable, that follows with attachment. And that self-grasping mind that every time when there is something that is not pleasurable, follows with aversion. That is an emotional mind, just based on feelings. We hear many times, just follow your feelings, you know, just follow your feelings. So I wouldn't say that that is always wrong, you know, but if we just follow the feelings, And we walk through lives just going there where we like it and moving away from what we do not like. We follow fully the 8 worldly dharmas. And according to the teachings, when we just follow the 8 worldly dharmas, there's not going to come any happiness from that. In order to create the causes for happiness, we actually need to make a little bit of effort. That's not coming by just following our feelings. When we follow the emotional mind that just follows what it likes and doesn't follow what it doesn't like, then people come and they say, you want to have this? What you like? Then you have to do this. Otherwise, you can't get that. Right? Then we become very easily a victim to people who know how the mind works and who are going to use our attachment to certain things in order to make us do things that normally we would never do. That's the emotional mind. So that's a weak mind, you know, it can appear as very strong and very determined. But if you look into the validity of it, it is actually a very weak mind because it has nothing to stand on except I like it. Nothing else. No proper reasoning. No reasoning that is in accord with reality. So in order to extend our compassion also to those that we do not know and to those that we do not like, we apply reasoning. Only then becomes our compassion a positive quality that we have access to and that we can use in every situation. And so the reasonings that we use is that all beings are equal in wanting to be happy and wanting to be free of suffering. Another reasoning that we use is that, you know, our preference to help our friends and our family and not help those that have harmed us. We can say, well, but, you know, they're your friends and your family at the moment, but they were not always your friends and family. How long do you know this friend? Maybe 10 years. So how did this person become your friend? Right? Or that person did actually a great act of kindness towards me. And then we became friends. And I had the same feeling for her. So then we became friends. So before you became friends, that person was actually a stranger to you. Yes, I didn't know that person. So the person has changed from being a stranger to being a friend in dependence on a meeting and certain actions, a certain relationship that you build up with that person. In the same way, your enemies, the people who have hurt you, have they always been hurting you? Or was there a time that they were not yet in your life? Or was there a time that they were in your life and then at that time they were actually benefiting you? Many people, they start as your friend and then something happens and they do something that we don't like, or they don't do something that we would like, or they hurt us. And then suddenly they become enemies, but they were not always enemies. They were first friends. And before you were friends, they were strangers, and then they become enemies. And so that all depends upon my view, right? That all depends upon my relationship with them, nothing else. So we need to see that it is not a fixed family friend, it is not a fixed stranger, it is not a fixed enemy. We can change that depending upon the relationship that we have with them. So that relationship at the moment is based on me. It is very self-centered. And by being self-centered, what I'm doing is I'm working for my happiness. You know, you giving me what I want, I like you. You're not giving me what I want, I don't like you. It's all about my happiness. True? So that is our condition. So how can we turn that around? First of all, we need to go back to these 8 worldly dharmas, you know, by not wanting to experience the unpleasantness of life. And instead of pushing that away, instead of building up aversion for that, we could say, okay, I'm going to sit with that. When life throws something unpleasant at me, I'm going to sit with that. And we're going to learn to sit with unpleasant experiences. When we feel it, we are mindful of the experience. We realize that we are suffering, that it is very unpleasant, but we try to be with it. And while we are with it, we talk kindly to ourselves, you know, acknowledging the suffering. And then we remember that we are not the only person experiencing this. We are not alone in this. So that's one thing that we can do. Then we can say, okay, look at my attachment. Where is my attachment? What am I running after? And how can I do with less? You know, when is it enough? And can I sit with being content with what I have instead of, you know, chasing more and more? So that would help to balance the mind already. And then we become more equanimous with respect to our own experiences. And so in dependence on that, we can develop equanimity to others, for others, by seeing the similarities. You know, all sentient beings want to be happy. They want to be free of suffering. We are focused on that. When somebody is in front of us and doing something that is very unkind, the moment you think they are just doing that because they believe that action is going to make them happy, and you're going to think, what are they actually after? You can see they're not there to harm you. They are just like everybody else, just working for themselves. It is their unskillful way of finding happiness and finding a way to be free of their suffering. When we see that, our reaction will already be much less, you know. We will create some kind of understanding that doesn't justify unpleasant behavior, but your reaction to that will become less strong. And we have much more skillful means to address it in a way that it is going to be beneficial. We also can build up equanimity with others when we think about our relationship that we had in the past and in the future, that relationships change depending on how people act in relationship to us. Sometimes they are our friends, sometimes they are our enemies, and we fluctuate between all that. And then we can think in dependence on that. You know, at the moment, I am working for my happiness. I'm only one person. And then in the meantime, I'm generating this motivation every day. I want to work for the benefit of others, you know, to make others happy. I want others, may all sentient beings have happiness in the causes of happiness. So how can I contribute to that if I keep just working for me? What if I would change me into others? Turn it around. If I work for the benefit of me, just me, motivated by the 8 worldly dharmas, the result will be only suffering. If I would change that attitude and said, I'm going to work for the happiness of others, And I'm going to do these actions that I normally would do for me. I'm going to do them for others, you know. What happens is that every action that we are doing becomes the cause for happiness, for my happiness. So if I'm serious about my happiness and I want to have the best method for becoming happy, I need to focus on making other people happy. If I want to be free of suffering, instead of generating aversion and anger in order to eliminate the suffering of my life, I should see that that is only causing suffering. But when I help others to be free from suffering, I create the causes for myself to be free of suffering. Right? So I'm still working for me, and I'm still working for my own perfect happiness and freedom of suffering, but I'm working with a method that actually works. I give up a method that is bringing me the opposite of what I want. And so in a way that is still selfish, but His Holiness says, you know, if you want to be selfish, better be wisely selfish. Use your wisdom to find your happiness. And when you use your wisdom, you know that by benefiting others, you will find your happiness. And they say it is just a habit, you know, working for your benefit. It is, your mind has been habituating with that you only think about yourself. So when you start to habituate your mind to thinking about others, you know, changing just the wording. I don't want to work for me. I'm going to work for others. I'm going to do this for others. I'm here to take care of others. When you start using that word and you habituate yourself to that, it just becomes, at a certain point, your second nature. It just comes naturally due to habit. In order to do that, we do need to see, you know, that the best thing we can do for ourselves is generating that mind that wants to be a benefit to everyone without discrimination, without it being important what they are doing for me or not doing for me. We are just there for them. And so then within Buddhism, we find the methods how to do that, you know. But I think the main thing is that we develop that equanimity. Once that is there, the rest is very easy. And so that means that when you walk into a space where there are many people, you know, you're not there anymore looking around like, who can do what for me? But you are looking around, what can I do for whom? That's a totally different attitude. And when things happen, you're not thinking, oh, how do I get out of this? You think, what can I do that's most beneficial for everyone here? And so benefiting others doesn't exclude yourself, right? You're part of that. When we think about working for the benefit of others, sometimes we feel, oh, I'm not part of others, right? But you are part of others as well. It's not that you give everything to everyone and you get nothing. It's not like that. You are part of others. And if you have a very strong wisdom mind and you know that when you give to everyone without having the feeling I need, you know, I need my part, you actually create more causes for happiness by only giving to others. Not when you start doing I need, it's going to be very difficult to create virtuous actions. You have to really find the right mindset to do that. It becomes very easy self-cherishing. So that is a skill that we need to learn how to do that. And I'm going to pause for a minute, give you some opportunity to ask questions. Oh, somebody has been writing. Oh my gosh. Isadora, we were waiting for you. You asked yesterday the question, right, about the motivation of enlightenment. Is that true? No, that's not you. Yes, was that true? Was that you? That you felt overwhelmed? I thought it was somebody else. Was that Debbie? No.
No, that wasn't me.
That wasn't you, huh? Who asked that question about being so overwhelmed with generating the motivation of...
I don't think she's here right now.
She's not here right now. Okay.
I'm not sure, but I think no.
I will answer that later. And then maybe you want to say the question, Isadora? So that otherwise I have to read it for you.
Okay. I might have to read it because I'm not sure I've got a concise question. So
you feel comfortable doing that?
I do, if that's okay.
Yes, sure.
So I feel compassion for this for a friend and her daughter. Her daughter is suffering from an addiction, and the friend has asked me to well, it's kind of, I don't want to say her last hope, but her daughter has expressed some interest in coming to stay with us, with our family. And at first I was like, oh my God, that's a lot of my freedom gone. There's what am I going to do with her? I have no expertise. But then I sort of sat with it and I thought, I just tried to think kind of like what you're talking about today, like, why do I feel so threatened? Shouldn't I just try to give? But then I had a different feeling where I was like, well, then I have to achieve something with her, and what is going to be my plan? And I feel like I don't have the skills to help her. And, my question is, I'm going to read out the question. So what should I do? Do I just ask her to trust me, even though my experience is limited, even if my intention is pure? And I do my best to help to decrease the daughter's apathy. I feel a goal, even if I feel the goal might not be achievable, I feel also it would be good for my practice, because if my motivation is genuine, I have to stay with the uncomfortable feeling that I might not be helping, even though I'm there. But I still feel I lack the skillful means to help. I'm by no means an enlightened person, and I have no experience in dealing with addiction or anything like that. But
you have a lot of love to give.
So that's yeah. So I don't know what to do. The question is, okay, how do we make others feel happy skillfully without just, it being a motivation, a mantra, or a prayer? Like, how can I actually help?
Yes. So we first always start with generating the wish for them to be happy and to be free of suffering. Right? This is what we always can do. And then it's going to come to real engaging in the actions. I think it is important that we know what we can give and what we cannot give. Right? So what I hear from you is that you can give her time, that you can give her love, but you cannot give her any expertise. You cannot give her any guarantee what's going to happen. You cannot, I don't know, maybe give her other things. So I think becoming very clear of what you can give and what you cannot give, and communicate that with her. And maybe you want to put an end date on it and say, I can I can have you here for a month. And so I'm going to give you a break from your situation. I can give you the space to be here. I can give you this room. I will, give you the food. I will give you attention. But then after that month, you need to go back and I need a break and I want to rethink everything. For instance, I'm just giving you an idea what you can do. So you're very clear, you have your boundaries and you make sure that there is no expectation, because if she has the thought, oh, Isadora, she's my last hope. If she cannot help me, nobody else can help me, There becomes a very grasping mind with unrealistic expectations from you. If something doesn't go well with you, then everything is gone in the mind of that other person, right? So I would not like to have anyone grasping at me like that. You're my last hope, It's almost feels a little bit like you have to help, otherwise there is nobody else. You do not have to help. Only when you feel comfortable doing it for a certain amount of time and you offer what you have to offer, you verbalize that, and you also verbalize what you don't have to offer. And maybe in the time that she's with you, you can both start looking into what options are there. If she's really determined to address the addiction, what other options do you have? Does she have?
Well, I was thinking, I mean, one thing I can do for her is, I do a lot of yoga myself, and I just felt like for anyone to have a discipline, to get up in the morning, to, do some exercise might just put her mind, from like a dull state and just, I don't know, wake her up, give her the opportunity. And maybe I'll say, well, that's a requirement for,
yes,
for you to
very
come.
good. Very good.
You do this, and then you help me when I can't go and pick up my child. And those are your two responsibilities. If you can't do those well, then it's going to be, we're not going to.
No, you have to make an agreement how many times she can miss out. Maybe one day a week she can sleep in if she doesn't want to come to the yoga. But not more than that. More than that, she's out. The child, picking up your child, she cannot refuse doing that. She has to do that. If she misses out one time, she's out. Very strict, and do not give her a second chance. Sorry.
Okay.
Because that is like a trap. The moment you say to someone with an addiction, I didn't want you to do that, but I'll give you another chance, they will walk over you. It opens the door. It's like they never know when to say no, So before, you're very clear, and that's it. You're not going to change from that. And you make her clear that you're not going to change from that. Okay. And she needs to agree with that, right? She needs to feel, I can do that.
Yeah.
Because otherwise that becomes another huge stressor or I actually feel like, if she says beforehand, I don't think I can do that, but I could do this and this, then you see how far you want to go with your negotiation.
Okay. That's really helpful. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And connection, addicted people, they are desperate for connection. Their addiction is a way of trying to find connection. So if you somehow can help her to find what she needs, where she needs connection, and maybe you can give her some of that, or maybe you can help her finding a way into that.
Yeah, that's why I feel so much pressure.
Huh?
That's why I feel so much pressure, because I don't really know her so well, and I feel like we have completely different interests, and I feel it's going to be really, really hard. But at the same time, I really want to. I want to see if I can.
So you sit down with yourself and you say, okay, what can I offer? This much, and then you know that all these kinds. Being different is not the problem. you not being connected to every aspect of her is not a problem. You know, she needs a specific connection. For instance, many times people who are addicted, they don't feel loved. They don't feel that they can be with you the way they are, you know? So, and then when you start triggering them in that problem, their addiction starts to increase. And having said that, you know, you cannot give them everything they need necessarily, but you can observe, oh, the addiction is getting worse, or now she is doing behavior that we didn't agree upon. You know, just wonder what is she looking for?
Can I ask her, like, that she has to be, supposedly she's only using one, like the cannabis, as far as I know, currently. Can I ask her, like, that she's not allowed anything whilst she's here or in my home at the street? Like, I'm hoping she's just completely clean. I presume that I can say that.
Of course you can say that. You need to be very clear. How can I do this? And that is what you offer. And then she can say yes or no. She cannot start pushing your boundaries. She cannot come and say, oh, but I actually want to do that. And you feel uncomfortable. No. You need to be in your strength, in your power, which means that you set the conditions.
Okay, good. No, it's all clear now, I think.
Otherwise, you drop me an email if you have some doubts.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Ariana has some advice for you. She says, I think your offer is so open-hearted and generous, and you are clearly not putting yourself first. And I think that is the beginning of the practice. And that the outcome is out of your control, but as you are putting your heart into the connection will be positive. I think that too, but you know, I also know that yesterday we spoke about perseverance, and that one of the things that help to build perseverance is that we do not take on jobs that are too difficult. Right? Because the information that we get from not being able to do that job is actually setting us back. And so you need to think, how long can I do this comfortably? Not because you want to be comfortable, because it's going to be uncomfortable anyway, right? But so that you do not stretch yourself so far that you're going to have a setback. It's very important that you take care of yourself. This is what I can do, but I cannot do that. Suha says, in the realm of hungry ghosts by Gabor Mate is a congenial place to start to understand addiction. You could read it first, but don't impose it on her because it could be very hard to read. And please understand, relapse is part of recovery, though it sounds counterintuitive. Try to just be. Acceptance and patience are paramount. And you got that back. Book from her mother, yes. And you can also, you know, he describes very beautifully the struggle that we all have between the needs and need for connection and authenticity. And that it is often in relationships that we have to choose. And especially when we're small children, we choose for connection instead of authenticity. So what we do is we give up who we really are in order to stay connected. We disconnect from ourselves in order to stay connected. And that disconnection from ourselves is what is gonna play up and is gonna show up in the form of addictions. And so then it looks like, oh, I need connection, but actually we need to look into ourselves, where we need to connect with in ourselves. We need to find, you know, because often parts of ourselves, they were not approved of, they were disapproved of, so we abandon these parts, and that is often the pain that is causing addiction. So there are also many videos on YouTube that are very helpful. Helping others is indirectly helping self, is very counterintuitive. How do we work on our mind to start thinking in this way? So what we are doing with Buddhism, this changing this mind, is totally counterintuitive. It is totally insane when you start thinking about it. You know, there is something that we like, and we're not going to follow that. And there is something that we dislike, that we want to run away from, and we're not going to follow that. We're going to use other techniques. That is counterintuitive in the core of our being. You know, our self-grasping mind says, I want and I don't want, and you decide to do the opposite of what that mind actually wants. So then we need a lot of wisdom before the mind is prepared to even make one step, right? It is first you listen to these teachings and they sound, oh wow, so beautiful, so inspiring, and then you start looking into it, and then you think, wow, this is insane, right? But I will give you, we're going to do the meditation on the Tonglen, which is actually very helpful to change that attitude, or to lessen our belief that we have to do the things in the way we are doing them at the moment. Once you feel that with Tonglen, oh, actually it is quite easy to, you know, not run after what I like and run away from what I don't like. I actually could even do the opposite. I'll take on what I don't like and I give away what I like. It's actually not too difficult. And when you do that in the meditation and you feel that, that will encourage you to then actually, you know, do it in actuality. But if we already could do it mentally, it's fantastic. Will balance your whole life, you know. Ariana says, if we should not have separation between ourselves and others in a situation like this, how to keep the boundaries with empathy and compassion? So helping others should feel good, right? Although it might be uncomfortable in situations, you should have somewhere inside you a good feeling about that. If helping others feels like a burden, you need to check your motivation. If helping others feels like too much, you should check why it is that you're doing too much. You know, we are baby bodhisattvas. Our mind is not so strong yet. We cannot handle too much burden. We have to make small steps. So we need to do what we can and still feel happy. I'm not sure if this is a cultural thing, you know, but there is this, or that it is just not having the Dharma right in the middle. If you want to do something for others and it is a burden, if you do it with a proper attitude, you are happy to take on the burden. But in order to do that, you also need to have developed your wisdom mind that knows how to do that, you know. So sometimes it can be that we don't feel the happiness because we have taken on too much. Sometimes we have not developed a wisdom mind enough that knows how to do things and when to do things. So we need to give ourselves time to learn what it means. I'm going to work for the benefit of others. Especially, and many of us are that, when you have grown up as the people pleaser. if you have grown up with the feeling like I want to make other people happy, you know, and I'm a very little girl and I really want to make everyone happy. And so if daddy is angry and mommy is not happy, then it's my job to make them happy. If you are coming with a mind like that, then what you do, and then this, he has such a difficult name for me to remember, Gabor Mate. Then what little children do is they say, you know, yeah, actually I wanted to play, but when I play too loud, then daddy's going to be very angry. So I'm just going to shut up, you know, because it's more important for me that daddy is happy than that I can, you know, just play the way I want to play. It is not that a child thinks like that, but that is what a child does. So if you recognize something of that, then when you grow older and you start practicing compassion, and probably you know that then intuitively you have trouble with your boundaries, because you will often find yourself being quite miserable because you make the other person important, and at the same time you shrink your own energy. Does that make sense, Ariana? Does it make sense? Yes, okay. So,
Thank you.
so listen to him, and listen to him how children, you know, the people pleaser, look into the people pleaser and how they give up their own happiness in order to make others happy. And that is actually the wrong thing of doing so, because little children do that out of fear. They're not doing that out of wisdom. And because it comes from fear, it has a negative influence on the child itself. When we have grown up and the fear has gone and we are fully in our power, then we could do the same action without having that reaction coming back to us. And then when we do something with empathy and compassion, we actually feel happy about doing that. But if you start to feel like, I'm going to get uncomfortable, I'm going to get unhappy, you know, don't think, oh, I should just sit with the uncomfortability. In a way, yes, but that is also your mind saying, ho, ho, maybe you're going too far, you know, maybe you're taking on that is not good for you. Maybe you're taking on something that is too much for you. Right? And so then you go back to yourself and you check, and it is okay to say no. You know, and what you can do is you can say, I wish I could help you, but for the moment it is too much for me. And so you keep wishing them that they have what they want. You keep wishing that they are free of suffering. You keep wishing that you one day have the capacity to actually give them that. But at the moment you can't. Right? That's fine. People pleasers push it too hard, you know, that always hurts them back. People who grow up more selfish, they have trouble getting out of themselves and do things, you know, they feel uncomfortable making the first step. People pleasers feel uncomfortable with drawing themselves back, with saying it's enough. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. One new message. Can you please advise on what we should practice? Yes, on a daily basis. You asked that question yesterday, and I did have that here. And I say one little word about the mind of enlightenment. Yesterday, somebody said that the mind of enlightenment can feel so overwhelming, you know, working for the benefit of all sentient beings, like it has nothing to do with my life, and this is going to be lifetimes away. And so what is the use of even making that, generating that motivation? And I've struggled that with myself too, but I remember one answer that one of my teachers gave me, and I actually think that Lama Zopa uses this in his teachings. When we have generated the mind of enlightenment, you know, whatever I'm going to do today is going to be for me to create causes for enlightenment. Then whatever happens in that day is going to be helpful for you to one day achieve that. So whatever happens during that day is on the path to enlightenment. And then whatever happens on that day, whatever merit you create will last until you are enlightened. And so every goal that you achieve within your life will be part of generating the qualities that you need and eliminating the faults that we have in order to achieve enlightenment. So although we can only do this much in this life, when we know that this is where we eventually want to go, then everything what we do in this life will be of service of that goal. Right? So put it somewhere in the back of the mind. I do want to go there, but then be realistic. I know that in this life, I can only do this much, you know, and that is good enough because it's on the way. All right. So please keep generating that motivation, because it is, even if you cannot find direct benefit in your life today, in the big picture, it does have a lot of benefit if you could do that. And so how do we practice on a daily basis? And when I was thinking about that, I thought, how can I give you personal suggestions, you know, because first of all, I'm a very limited human being as well, and I cannot see the mind, and I can definitely not come up with something that would be suitable for everyone. So I thought, then what can I say? And then I thought, you know, instead of saying this is the practice, I thought maybe I tell you what is important in the practice. You know, the most important thing about practice is that it is going to help you to lessen your delusions, that it is helpful to calm your mind. Maybe not immediately calming your mind, you know, but on the longer term, that is what your practice should do. So you need, when you do practice, whatever you do, you keep checking your mind. You keep checking your mind. If you see that by doing your practice, your mind changes in a positive way, fantastic. That's the main thing, right? That's number one. Then what you can do if you have no practice at all, you can start with something that you like, that you feel attracted to, or that you feel that would be good for you. And you do that 5 minutes a day. Or if you have the time, 10 minutes. Or you do 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes in the evening. And you do that for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, until you feel, I could increase that time. I feel comfortable doing it for 5 minutes. I could do it 7 minutes. I could do it 10 minutes. You do it 10 minutes. 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at night. And then after 1 month, after 2 months, you remember, you close your eyes and you think, how was my mind 2 months ago? And then you will see a difference, you know, and you will know whether that practice is helping you, whether you do it in a way that it is helpful to you or not. Some people feel, you know, there are people who say, oh, this study, that's not for me, you know, I like to practice. And so they just want to sit down and they want to meditate and they want to watch their mind and they want to connect with their mind in that way. Fine. Other people say, I don't feel so ready for practice. I prefer to first learn a little bit more, you know, read some books and think about it. Fine. eventually what all the Dharma comes to is that it improves our mind, right? So if you just read words, but you cannot apply that to the mind, it's not really going to be beneficial on the long term. There is going to be a point that you say, now I want to bring these words to my mind and affect my mind with it. If you do practice, but you don't really know what you're doing, also it's not going to be very effective. So at a certain point you say, I'm going to read a little bit more about this kind of meditation and how I can focus my mind better. So you start where your affinity is. And that's for everybody different. You know, some people start straight away with bodhicitta. Other people feel, no, emptiness is my thing, you know. I think so you start wherever you are, wherever you want to begin. But the main thing is that you keep checking, how does it influence my mind? You know, if you become more arrogant because of your study, it's maybe not the right thing to do for you. Now you know all these Buddhist concepts and you can share them on the parties and, you know, look me, how I did that. That's not really useful. Can you do something with that, Suket? I don't see all of you together, so sometimes. Can you do something with that?
Yes, I think Venerable. Thank you very much.
All right, good. And of course, you know, if you have a personal teacher, if you have someone who could give you some guidance, that is also always helpful, where you could go and say, hey, listen, I want to check in with you. I've been doing this and this and this, and this is what is happening in my mind, and I have this and this feeling about it. What are my options? What can I do? You know,
right.
This,
Okay.
is that all right?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome. All right. So then I have one more meditation for you. I won't do that in 3 minutes. So I'm very sorry if it goes over time and if you won't be able to fully be present. But I think it is a very nice meditation in which whatever we have been doing, you know, comes together. So please, if you can't follow today, do it another day with the recordings. So it is a meditation which is called Tonglang. Tonglang means that we take on suffering and we give away happiness. So that mind that is obsessed with the 8 worldly dharmas, we totally do the opposite of what that mind normally does. And in Tibet, that has been a secret practice for a long time because the teacher thought this is so insane, nobody will, people will just not be able to practice it. Even the thought of doing this is insane. Yeah? But it is an extremely powerful practice. And it makes you also, it will benefit on many levels, you know. So let's try it, and then you can decide yourself if it works for you or not. So make yourself comfortable. Let the mind settle. Whatever we spoke about, whatever you have heard, it's already gone. No need to try to hold on to that. When you need any of that information, it will come back to you. It will be there without any effort. And then we start first with doing this practice using our own problem. So bring to mind a thing, a problem that is troubling you. And take a small problem or a medium-sized problem. Better not to start with a big one. And that can be a physical problem, maybe a painful feeling or an uncomfortable feeling or an illness. Or it can be something emotional, such as sadness or hurt or loneliness. Allow that problem to arise in your mind and feel it. Feel what it does to you. To your mind. And also be aware how your mind wants to push it away. You don't like it. Be gentle with yourself. Recognize that this problem is causing a suffering to you. So you're a suffering human being. And just as you would treat a good friend with loving kindness, with patience, with gentleness, you treat yourself in exactly the same way. And you remember that you're not the only one suffering from a problem like this. This is part of human existence, where so many of us experience suffering. We all experience suffering for certain amounts of time. Without that, it's not possible to be a human being. And then remember that there are also many who experience more suffering than you do. That doesn't mean that you have to dismiss your own suffering, but you just put it in perspective. Whatever we feel is relative. And so by thinking about the problems or the suffering that others experience, then try to generate a feeling of the thought. How wonderful it would be if all those people could be free from their suffering. And then you can say, wouldn't it be wonderful if me, by experiencing my problem, could free all these people from their problem? What if I, by experiencing my suffering, would free all these beings from their suffering? And so then you say, okay, you know what? I'm going to take on my own suffering. I'm going to feel my own suffering. And by doing so, I'm going to do that on behalf of all others, so that when I do it, they are all free from their suffering. And so you let go of your fear, of your resistance, your aversion. By you undergoing this suffering, you are freeing all other human beings with a similar problem from their suffering. And it can be helpful to breathe in the suffering. Breathe in the suffering, and then when you breathe out, you let go. So once we have familiarized ourselves with taking on our own suffering, and we become more comfortable with that, we can also take on the suffering and the problems of others, starting with people that are close to us. So imagine in front of you someone that you know and love who is suffering. You can put yourself in their situation and try to really feel the suffering they are experiencing and how they wish to be free of it. And then feel how wonderful it would be if they could be free from all their sufferings and problems. And then generate the courage to take their suffering upon yourself. At your heart, you visualize a black rock, which symbolizes your self-centered mind and all the delusions that arise from that. And then you visualize your loved ones suffering in the form of thick, dark smoke. And you visualize that that suffering is floating out of their body. And as you inhale, you imagine taking this dark smoke of suffering into your heart. It absorbs into that black rock and destroys it. And it breaks open. And from that rock, which is broken, light shines forth. And that light, you can exhale that. It has the quality of happiness. It has the quality of merit. And it has the quality of whatever the other person wishes for. So you breathe that out towards the other person, giving them everything they need. All the material things, love, friendship, compassion, courage. So we can repeat that on the rhythm of our breath. That when we breathe in, we see the suffering in the form of thick, dark smoke, and we breathe that in into our heart, where it transforms our self-grasping mind. That self-grasping mind cracks open, and from that mind we send out our happiness, our positive qualities. We just give it away. Our merit, we give it away, and it all transforms in whatever brings joy and happiness to that other person. We breathe in their suffering, and we breathe out our happiness in the form of light. And while you do that, you see that slowly that suffering starts to diminish. The person feels already a bit relieved. And because of that, you can see that they are relaxing. A little bit of joy starts to arise, maybe a small smile starts to appear on their face. And you keep taking on their suffering, bringing them happiness. And while you see that transformation happening of the person in front of you, you feel happy and like, oh, I'm so happy. They're starting to feel better. I'm so happy that their suffering is going, that I can do something about that. And then let your mind rest in a feeling of joyfulness that you have been able to help your loved one in this way. And then we can dedicate all the merits that we have gathered by doing this meditation, but also by doing this session today, by following the whole course. We have created the merit of receiving all that information. With a feeling of gratefulness, we can also give ourselves some time to digest that. And then slowly bring that into practice in order to transform our mind. And so all the merit that we already have accumulated, but we could even dedicate all the merit that we're going to accumulate in dependence on what we have heard and the practices that we're going to do. And we're going to visualize all that merit in the form of white light. That light is occupying our whole body, and it just shines through our skin into our surroundings, spreading out, touching each and every sentient being, bringing them peace and happiness. So just imagine that that light keeps spreading out, covering the whole world. Bringing what is most beneficial. And thank you so much for doing that. Thank you for being here. And I'm sure I'm going to see many of you tomorrow. And so tomorrow is the special day where you can ask whatever you want to ask. You know, if it is related to this course, it's of course great. But if you are having other questions like, you know, whatever, related to your life, related to your experience, related to practice, feel free to bring them because we have 1.5 hour time to just give you that extra attention. And I'm happy to share whatever I know, although I'm very limited, but whatever I know, I'm happy to give. And if I don't know it, I maybe know where we can find it. And if I don't know that, maybe we can find someone who knows where we can find it. All right. Thank you all so much for being here. I don't know, Pema, if you wanted to say something or...
Yeah, I want to thank you so much again and everyone for your time and effort. Thank you so much for being with us. And those of you who are eligible for the special day tomorrow, the meeting link is same. So you can join us. Yeah, see you all tomorrow. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Venerable. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take
Bye.
care, everyone.